Good morning, everybody. Sunday. I love Sundays. Don't have to get up and work. There's a lot I want to try and get in and talk to you about today, and it's gonna be sound kind of confusing. It's gonna be very confusing for me to try and talk about it and get it out to where it kind of makes some sense. As far as the whole condo thing, that topic that I talked about in my last video, that is that's some trouble. It's hard to find a place to where I'm not paying anything that's more or just as much as what I'm paying now. And right now I love my apartment, but half of what I pay for is the amenities, which I'm never here to enjoy because I'm always working. So, and month to month, I'm at the point where I gotta live like a poor person. I am a poor person, I guess. I can't do anything as simple as going to enjoy a movie or something like that. I have to really pinch every penny and watch everything I spend. So, I at this point, I believe I'm at the point where I'm just gonna try and find another apartment to rent for cheaper. And that is trouble because there's nothing really that good around here that is a decent living situation that is a decent price. So it's a lot of trouble, but it's a lot of trouble, but it's hard to look at it and still not be grateful that you're alive. I understand. A lot of other people have it a lot worse than what I do, and I have to remind myself of that a lot. Because after what I've been through, it's hard to explain, but you kind of, maybe you won't get it. Maybe others that go through a TBI situation, they aren't going to experience this. But what I have experienced is I've kind of grown to get a sense of entitlement almost. As my brother-in-law would once said, and to explain on that, like you kind of, after you go through what I've been through and you survived and come back as well as I have, it's hard not to get that sense of, well, you're owed something. Something's got to come out of this. I survived for a reason. That something there's got to be a reason I went through this and came back as well as I did. I mean, you get that sense. It's hard not to have that idea come through your head, especially when you have a brain injury. There's so much going through your mind at all times. You can never just relax, and that's why I enjoy sleeping so much, because I'm at peace. And maybe that's another reason. Like, even when you're sleeping, you're healing. And you're constantly healing. Even when you're awake, you're healing. You just don't really realize it. And, as far as the entitlement thing goes, I mean, after you've been through this, and that, you feel like you can do anything. And it's like, well, what's going to stop me now? I've survived death. I mean, what's next? So it's hard to distinguish, a sense of reality and stuff like that. So like I said, it's hard to be be in the real world. Like, all right, this is how it's going to be, but and you're also going to tend to overthink things. And my explanation on that is, when you're going through life, you're going through simple tasks, day-to-day things that everybody does. It's nothing special. Like, to you, it's going to be 10 times harder than anybody else. Like, for example, let's say take something as simple as tying your shoes. Anybody can tie your shoes. That's not a big deal. But for me, or a TBI survivor, like, you really got to think things through on how to lace it and how to blah blah. So it's just little things like that. It's constantly, everything is going to be in your head, and it's hard to it's hard to distinguish things that are going on in your head and how your body is going to do certain things too. And maybe this has affected me so much because I'm so into exercising and working out, lifting weights, and blah blah blah. So, and even then you across a situation where your form is such a big deal, and then that plays bad tricks on your mind too. Trust me. Anybody who's in the fitness world and works out and all that stuff, they'll agree. Like, your form is very important. So when you're a brain injury survivor like me, you could be doing something as simple as an arm curl, and to anybody else that's nothing. But when you're doing it, there's so much going on in your head. You're like, am I doing it right? Am I bending my elbow right? It's very tricky, and this may sound like the dumbest thing ever, and all the stuff I talk to you about may sound like the dumbest thing ever, but it's just how it is. But so you're gonna overthink things, and that's one thing I've noticed through everything I've been through this whole TBI situation is everything that people try to do, doctors, parents, loved ones, they're just trying to help. I know that, but they're just gonna get in your head. If you just kind of take a step back and just are left to do what you naturally would do, there's a good possibility you're gonna end up eventually doing the right thing. It may take a couple times, take a while, but you're gonna do it. And that's another thing I've noticed. Like, they're just too much in your head, and with me, all right, for example, because remember, I had a broken vertebrae, okay? So ever since my accident, I've been going to a chiropractor to try and put that S curve back in my spine. So, and this kind of comes into play with what I was talking about being in your head. Like, the chiropractor has been telling me for years, to keep your good posture, keep your back straight. And you sort of get to where that's exhausting to try, and everything you do, you got to make sure that your posture is straight. You can't slouch, you can't be a bum. So it's very confusing. You can never, to me anyways, it seems like you can never really have a moment's peace to where you're just relaxing, because you are constantly in the back of your mind, like I said, always overthinking things. You always got that in the back of your mind that you've got to keep your back straight, and that pain. And, tie that along with the urination problem that I've spoke to you about. There's just so much going on with your head all the time that it's very hard to just relax, enjoy life. It's hard, but you got to do it because you survived for a reason. That's why you're here, and who doesn't love life, right? So, and another thing I wanted to talk to you about, and this is where this is going to be really hard to explain, but what I want to talk to you about is let's say, like, certain pains that you may get will affect you'll feel that more in a certain part of your brain. Like, let's say, for instance, you got a cut on your hand. No big deal, but there's that one part of your brain that makes you focus on that pain. Okay, if that makes any sense, which probably doesn't. But so take into account, like, so for me, for instance, and probably a lot of other people, if you have certain pains in your body that's affecting certain parts of your brain, imagine what I've been through. I mean, I have, just to recap, remember, I had both my shoulder bones crushed, teeth knocked out, broken vertebrae, crushed in face, brain injury. So take into account all those injuries affecting certain areas of my brain, what I'm feeling constantly. So, and you may say, oh, well, it's because you're just getting older. Not old. Only 34. About to be 35. So, if, let's say, that's what's really affected me. Like, no matter what I'm doing, I'm always in a slight little bit of pain. So, for instance, like my shoulders. Like, if my right shoulder is hurting worse than the left one day, which just does happen, like right here in my brain, I'm constantly feeling that. And it's like, it's just constant, that is constantly going on with me. Like, I just can't ever just be at peace. I've always got some kind of pain somewhere, so that certain area of my brain is feeling that. So, and trust, like I said, that probably didn't make much sense. I get that and I understand it, but I'm trying. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about is your vision. Now, if you remember, for me, my vision was extremely affected because, remember, the right side of my face was crushed in, so I took a huge blow to this right side of my eye. And if you remember, like, I lost almost all peripheral vision in my right eye. So ever since my accident, I've constantly been going to eye doctors, so many eye tests, which I freaking hate. I mean, they have this thing where you sit and you put your head in this tunnel, and you're supposed to, anytime you see like a little dot, you're supposed to click the button, and it's so hard to do. It's so confusing. It's like, was that a dot? You don't really know. So eventually you just sit there and you're just clicking it every now and then just to get through it, right? The accuracy on that thing, I think, is crap. But so anyway, ever since I've been going to eye doctors left and right and doing so many eye tests. So frustrating, so annoying. Finally, nowadays I'm at the point where I don't really have to go see doctors too often. I mean, I'll go see my dentist every now and then for a cleaning, which if you remember, these 5 front teeth were knocked out. These are veneers. And so fortunately, I'm so fortunate. I do not have to really see too many doctors nowadays, which sounds stupid, honestly, if you take into account the amount of injuries and stuff I've been through. But I mean, you did it for a reason, right? I mean, I should be very fortunate, and I am. So yeah, the vision, it's very hard to explain, and maybe in the TBI world this is common, and a lot of things I've talked to you about, maybe it's a common sense kind of thing. When people watching this are like, what is this guy talking about? Everybody knows that. That may be, but I remember I'm relearning everything, okay? So you got to take that into account. So with the vision though, so remember, this peripheral vision is horrible. Like, it's gotten a lot better, so much better. Like now I think I'm at like 70% in that eye, which is good. But after the accident, I couldn't see anything, okay? I remember, it sounds bad, and Mom, I love you, but I mean, it got to, when I was fresh out of the accident, I had just came home, it got to the point where anytime something really bothered me and I just didn't want to, I don't want to deal with that, I would, I told her about this, my mom would be bothering me one day, so when we sat down to eat breakfast at the table, I purposely sat to the left side of her, so to my right, because I couldn't see, like from here over, couldn't see. I was like Two-Face from Batman. But literally, I told her too, she was bugging the crap out of me one morning, so I purposely sat on that left side, just so it was, that whole, whatever was on that side of the room, that was just cut off. I, didn't have to see it, didn't have to deal with it. It was whatever. And and back then, God, I was so hungry. Every morning for breakfast, which my mom was great, she would make me grits and eggs, maybe some pancakes. I mean, I ate like such a fat ass. But remember, I had that accelerated metabolism going on to where I could eat whatever I wanted to and be hungry again 10 minutes later, and I wouldn't gain an ounce. It was so awesome. Now that I think about it, I wish I could have it back, but at the same time, I don't, because I like to be able to put on some pounds, you know? so that's one thing that's going to be hard, maybe, that I've gone through, is trying to kind of open up your mind. Like something I've gone through, like it's like I had tunnel vision. It was like I only would focus on certain things that I could see. So, for instance, like say somebody's in front of you and you're looking at that person, and that would be the only thing I would focus on. You know, and normally everybody has something going on in the back of their head, that no matter what the case is. But for me, it's been whatever I can see, that's all I would think about. You know, let's say you're, doing something simple like writing on a piece of paper or whatever, and like I said, in the back of your head, there's got to be something going on. But for me, I would be writing on that piece of paper, and I would be so focused on spelling and remembering the letters and how to write them, and simple stupid things. I know I sound like such a special ed person right now, but I'm disabled, so get over it. but that's how it is. And I these are little things that I talk to you guys about. I know they're a problem, and I try. Like I said, it's always in the back of my head. That's something I need to work on today. Like when I go to work, I'm like, all right, I need to walk a certain way, worry about my posture a certain way, because of my broken vertebrae and my back being such a problem. So I will do certain things, and so that's what's constantly going on in the back of my head. Like when I'm at work and I'm doing the simple tasks that I've done a million times, I'm not sitting there focusing on that. Like as I'm scanning something with my RF gun, because I work in a warehouse, I'm focusing on, is my back straight? Is my posture right? Stupid, so stupid, little stupid things. I know this, okay? But, and take into account, remember the excessive urination problem I've had. A lot of that ties into the back problems that I've gone through, and that also ties into the brain problems that I've gone through. So like I said, remember, double whammy. I can't just have one problem at a time. It's always going to be, there's always something else. There's never just one thing. So when I'm at work and I'm doing that, I'm worried about am I standing straight, and you worry about how your spine is and how your posture is, because you start to think, well, maybe this pee problem will go away if I stand a certain way throughout the day. If I sit a certain way throughout the day. It's just little stupid things like that are always constantly going to be going through your head. At least, well, mine anyways. Okay, maybe, fortunately, hopefully you won't have to experience that. But that's just how it is. That's my life. So, and like I said, back in the day, before all this happened, I didn't care about anything. What was constantly going through my head was nothing. I just did what I did. I didn't overthink anything, and people who knew me from back in the day, they probably assumed that I didn't think of anything. That guy probably didn't think of anything. But that's how it is. Like I didn't think of anything. I was just trying to live my life day by day and have fun. That's all I cared about. So, nowadays, so different. I have so much going on through the back of my head, no matter what I'm doing. Like, people will say, well, working out is great. You go to the gym, you feel great. Not the case for me, because, I may get workout and I may look halfway decent or whatever, but as I'm working out, I'm never thinking about the workout. So to speak, halfway, yes. I'm worried about my form for one thing, because that's what you do when you work out. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking of a million different things that have nothing to do with working out. That's all has to do with my life and this brain injury and what I'm going to do next and why I do this, why I do that, and what should I do next. That's another thing is what should you do? Nobody knows. But that with me, it's kind of like, well, I went through this huge deal. I survived for a reason. I hope. I mean, well, yeah, not hope. Like, yeah, definitely a reason. So, and I'm still trying to find that reason. And you just kind of day by day you try to amount to something. Like that's going to be in the back of your head too. It's like, well, if I survive this traumatic injury, and if I should be dead but I lived, why did I live? Why, if I lived, maybe I should be doing something a little better with my life. Maybe I live for a reason, and maybe it will kind of get through your head that, well, I'm not doing anything, so maybe I should be. It's very confusing, and that's a lot of. I'm confused half the time. I swear to God. But I may look like I have my shit together and I act like it, but I don't. But it's constantly, it's always that idea of, well, maybe I should be doing this, maybe I should be doing that. Why did I survive? Why, maybe I should be a big deal. It's stupid, I know. But anyways, that's kind of all the stuff I wanted to talk to you about today. And once again, and you guys still aren't leaving any comments or questions on my page from these videos. So once again, I'm always going to ask you to do this until you start doing it. Please leave me something. Tell me you're mad at me. Tell me tell me my hair looks good, because I did just shave my head this morning with a razor blade finally. And tell me it's ugly. I don't care. Tell me I'm ugly. It really doesn't matter, okay? But I'm going to leave you guys for now, and I'll see you then.